privileges. It should allow you to. There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
You got it. I went out to get food and I come back and I got 25 emails. It's unbelievable.
Welcome to our world. All good stuff, though.
So looks like we are having a few more people joining. Jim Toland, I see you. Rob Reynolds. Hey, guys.
Thanks, Lee.
So Trevor's joining about what, 7:25?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Has anyone seen him on the broadcast? I guess he's doing a live CBS Sports broadcast from Augusta.
Yeah, I was looking for him, Sarah, because you had mentioned that. I didn't see him. Yeah. I did see his brother. His brother, Mark Immelman, was doing some of the live broadcasts today, so it was kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, that's so neat. Hey, Chris.
Yeah. Hi, Chris Paul. Professional golfer himself, Chris Paul. How you doing, buddy? Are we muting everybody, Sarah, or I just?
Yeah, I can do that here.
Okay.
No, I'm not saying we have to do that. I'm just making sure if we are, we just are aware of that. That's all.
Let me just make sure I can do this and unmute you and so I can mute everyone and then allow people to unmute. So when you need to speak, does that sound good?
Excellent. Love it.
All right, let's do that.
You know, if they keep running the rain delays here and there, it's going to be interesting to see them try to get this whole tournament in before Sunday, before the end of Sunday.
Hi, Todd. Sorry about that. I don't know. My audio wasn't working, so I had to switch to a different Zoom client.
I thought you were just being shy about your golf game.
Oh,
I introduced
no.
you as a pro.
How you doing? Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
You guys watch it all today?
A little bit. We had it on in the office. Got a few TVs around the office, so caught a few glimpses of it. You know,
Yeah.
I love it. I don't know what it is about the place, but it's amazing. You know?
Yeah, it was so awesome. It was great to see Tiger play well.
Well, somebody shared with me maybe it was you, Chris, but it was a contract to your spouse that says, as you know, this is Masters weekend, right? Don't expect me to do any housework, any chores, you know? Don't bother me, you know, when I need a drink, send one of the kids, you know, all that stuff until Sunday around 6 p.m.
Yeah. My favorite, obviously it's a different week this year, but one of my favorite weeks of the year. Just incredible.
Yeah. I recommend it to anybody that gets the opportunity to go down someday. It's worth every penny. If you're a golf fan, you can't not see that one time.
You should invite me to go sometime, Todd.
Sorry, Joe, we're full this year.
Joe, you don't want to go alone. Maybe I should go with you.
Maybe we should do this all in person next year.
Legally, I'm not allowed to leave the state.
Yeah, you need supervision.
Yeah, you should come too.
9 o'clock
You're
curfew.
also not allowed near schools, but you do that too.
Well, that's
so.
different. That's only applicable in Massachusetts and New Hampshire.
Yeah. Kids aren't even going to school. Schools are empty.
Yeah, that's a good point. You can go near schools now.
George is fine. Yeah.
I love it.
I assume bedtime went good, Joe? Or
Bedtime's delayed a little bit.
Oh.
It's currently bath time.
Nice.
And my wife's taking care of that one. So I got to go relieve. I got to go come in relief in a second. But
Nice.
yeah.
Todd, is my video coming through?
Yeah.
Yep.
So you can see my master scoreboard.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's minimized, so I didn't catch it. Oh, that's great, dude. That's a great idea. I'll give it a couple more minutes, I think, Sarah, and then I'll kick it off.
Yep, that sounds great.
By the way, Rob, I can't get you to go to Oak Barrel Tavern in Sudbury. I don't think I can get you to go to Georgia.
I go there every day.
Something tells me Augusta may change that. a little bit.
I go straight by and I hook a left and get in line at Whole Foods.
All right, so I'm gonna jump in here. I think I don't know, I can't see how many folks we got on the line, but I might as well kick it off. Do you agree, Sarah?
Yep.
Okay. Well, everyone, hello. Thank you very much for taking the time out of the evening to join us for our virtual Dell EMC Next Generation Data Storage event. We're extremely grateful for you guys taking the time out of your evening to join us. I'm sure it's to hear all about PowerStore, but I also would assume it's probably to get a chance to meet and maybe even ask a question of Trevor Immelman. For myself personally, I'm pretty pumped about this virtual event. We've had a few virtual events over the last few months, actually, that all have been fantastic, but this is probably the one I'm most looking forward to. I'm a huge fan, first of all, of golf, the sport in general, but I've had the pleasure of getting down to Augusta one time with my father and brother and a bunch of buddies, and it's amazing. So to be able to talk to somebody that's actually been there, done that, won it, beat Tiger, all the other things that you can imagine as part of the golfing world, I'm pretty pumped for it. So very grateful for everybody taking the time to join us, and hope you all enjoy it as much as I think I know I will. So Todd Cronin, Vice President of Business Development here at CE Tech. There's a collection, a smattering of other cutting edge technology peers of mine, employees here that I'm sure you've recognized, various customers that have taken the time to enjoy this event as well. So I hope you all enjoy it. I'm going to kick it off by just kind of reviewing the agenda real quick. Welcome and introductions, doing that now. We titled this kind of what it takes to succeed, right? The space and the world that we're playing in, digital transformation, next generation storage, next generation data center. We're all challenged with kind of what this world's going to look like now, and who knows next month, next year, or 3 to 5 years from now. But we're all challenged with adapting to that. Dell EMC has a play there, with their next generation storage play in PowerStore. Jody Hoagland is joining us here today. He's a senior technologist at Dell Technologies, but his title says Global Technology Evangelist, which really caught my eye, honestly, Jody. It's a pretty eye-catching title. So I'm honestly looking forward to your presentation and kind of getting a sense of where you see the state of the world and in your space. And I know you're going to tie some of that back to Michael Dell himself and where his view is, where PowerStore is, one of the top 2 or 3, transformational technologies in the Dell portion of the business today, and I'm interested to kind of hear your thoughts and feelings around that space in general. So from there, we actually about 7:25, 7:30, Trevor's going to join us, guys. Very Q&A, so interactive with him. He is actually supposedly doing a live broadcast right now on CBS. So don't put the channel on and watch him right now, but he may be a couple minutes late due to that interview that he's doing right now. So if he is, we'll kill a few minutes. But if he joins at 7:25, I'll do a brief introduction to Trevor and give you a little bit of his background, and then we're able to kind of dig in and ask him some questions. I will just say out of the gate before he joins, I have some canned questions that I've come up with, and a collection of some folks have come up with that they've shared with us. Please feel free to jump in, email them, or IM them to Sarah throughout the event. Let's take advantage of the time we have them. I think we have them for about 45 minutes. I think we'll wrap up around 8:15. And with all that being said, let's jump in. Jody, I'll hand it off to you, and enjoy the event, guys.
All right, thanks, Todd. Hey, really appreciate it. So yeah, I'm excited. When I saw the topic, what does it take to succeed? I myself personally, I kind of take that to heart. I'm sporting my Bama gear. I'm an SEC guy. I live in rural Alabama, but taking somebody out of the middle of nowhere in Alabama, and later in life say that he would be, the lead global technical evangelist, for the most strategic product inside of one of the largest tech companies in the world, I think is a testament to hard work, dedication, and devotion. I didn't have a ramp. I didn't have a start. 4 days after I graduated, I was standing on yellow footprints on Parris Island, South Carolina, and joined the Marine Corps. And that kind of gave me an opportunity to work hard, do a lot of studying, and have my head down and really focus hard on where did I want to go in life. So it's looking at Michael Dell. Todd, you kind of teed that up. He's a very interesting case study in Michael Dell, sitting in his college dorm room, kind of looking at the landscape of things and what was going on in the personal computer industry, and then kind of looking around and saying, you know what, I can take these components and put them in a box and sell them for a lot of money. Right? And so, he kind of brought that to market and really expedited it. Winds up going to his dad, says, hey, I'm going to drop out of college. Look at all this money I can make on this spreadsheet. It was like, okay. And Michael Dell made a go of making PCs and putting things together. And just several years ago, made the largest IT acquisition in history, a $60 billion drop on acquiring EMC, the largest and most strategic data storage company in the world. And so now, Dell Technologies is absolutely hands down, the most strategic infrastructure company on the planet. And that's a testament to the hard work, devotion, and strategic vision, of Michael Dell. And so as we kind of look at that and understand, what's the perspective that he has, when it comes to data storage. And Michael, Jeff Clark, the gentlemen that are running the helm of Dell Technologies, have made a very open statement that PowerStore, our new venture into the mid-range arena, is one of the top 3 priorities for Dell Technologies as a whole. So this is not just about, hey, what's going on in the realm of Dell EMC, what's going on in the realm of just the storage arena. Michael Dell has looked at this, and the amount of innovation and the devotion that has gone into this product has caused them to label this one of the top 3 priorities for Dell Technologies, as a whole. So it is a very interesting product, and kind of where we're taking this thing is based on, analyzing the industry and what's been going on. So when you look at the survey of the land in the storage arena and application world, over the past 5 to 6 years, you've seen this rise of application development in containers and microservices, and making applications be very modular, where you can do different things in different ways at the application and software level. So our venture into this started about 5.5 years ago of, really the chief architect, the CTO of the company sitting in a room having a whiteboard conversation and said, hey, look what's going on in this container space. Look what's happening with application development. How do we take that and put that into a primary storage infrastructure and create something that no one else on the planet can do, right? And so that's kind of the birth of how this thing got started. And then if you kind of jump into where we are, we launched the box in May. We brought the thing to market. We had about 5.5 to 6 years of innovation and cooking in the pot here. We're taking talent from some of the most strategic storage arrays and intellectual property on the planet, things like Extreme IO and the data path that Extreme IO is well known for, and the data reduction capabilities, the unified capabilities of our Unity platform, the intellectual property that we developed there. By the way, 60,000 plus global deployments, of Unity systems in 4 years of run rate, right? So 4 years, 60,000 plus global deployments with that product. If we look at the SC product line and the federation capabilities, the clustering capabilities, and data mobility with things like Live Volume and Live Migrate, that's been there for a while. And we leverage the engineering talent, the intellectual property to kind of bring all of these things together, right? So this is a net new deployment mechanism that's using the intellectual property and engineering talents of the top, technology company in the world, and now delivering a storage product that hands down at launch has superiority or greater capabilities than most of the competitive landscape combined. So when we look at this thing and we kind of break it down, there's these core pillars that we want to look at. First is that data-centric landscape. PowerStore is designed to be able to run any type of workload. It's a completely unified architecture. You can run your block workloads, your file workloads, virtual volumes from VMware. You can do things like native container-based deployment methodologies. All of that stuff is native to the platform. It's a complete enterprise architecture. Everything's redundant in the box. In fact, everybody wants to talk about how many nines, right? So it's 6 nines of availability. We're tracking that in the current install base since May. And we're holding true to that. So the uptime's great. Everything is clicking right along. We've built an architecture that can both scale up, meaning we can add lots of capacity. And just to kind of give you an idea, put this in your brain housing group, in a 2U form factor, right? So 2 rack units inside of a rack in a data center, we can put we're just shy of 1 petabyte of effective capacity in high performance all flash architecture, right? So it's a ton of capacity in a very small form factor. And if that wasn't enough, we can scale this thing out. So, what you're seeing on that top right quadrant of your screen is the ability for us to add more active compute, appliances into this cluster and be able to manage workloads across all of these nodes simultaneously, non-disruptively move workloads from one appliance to another appliance. So we don't have to worry about what's going on at the application or taking any kind of post-application outage. We can just seamlessly move workloads around. And this thing's ridiculously fast. In fact, it's an active architecture all the way down to the individual flash module. Every flash module we're using is enterprise grade, is dual ported, and we have dual active connections all the way up to every storage controller in that particular appliance. And we're the only storage manufacturer on the planet that is allowing storage class memory integration as a persistent read and write tier inside of both the high-end architectures that we do with our PowerMax platform, and now delivering that in the mid-range space with PowerStore. Right? So being able to leverage those type capabilities and optimize performance is kind of bar none for us. And then also looking at the efficiency landscape. Everybody's familiar with technologies like deduplication and compression and what it takes to make those things work. But in the world of PowerStore, those things are inline, they're on all the time. Not only that, we actually partnered with Intel and embedded Intel's Quick Assist technology, which is their Lewisburg chipset. We took that and we formulated it into every single one of our storage controllers. So the compression, that heavy lift of IO that's required to do compression, is actually offloaded to its own resource. So you're never going to have a performance hit, to take advantage of the data reduction capabilities that we have in the platform. Now, that's kind of cool. Like, it's a storage array. It does all this stuff that storage arrays do, but this thing is wicked smart, like as they'd say up in the Boston area, right? This thing is highly programmable from the outside.
That's wicked Pesa.
Yes, there you go, Rob. So this thing is crazy smart in the fact that we wanted PowerStore to be highly intelligent, not just inside the box, but outside the box as well. So when you look at this thing from an external programmability, if you want to leverage VMware, vRealize automation and orchestration, done. If you want to leverage, CSI, Kubernetes plugin-based deployment methodologies, done. If you want to leverage Ansible for infrastructure as code, and to be able to spin up hardware from a DevOps perspective, done. If you want to do Python scripting and Python SDK integration, done. PowerShell, done. Open RESTful APIs, done. CLI, programming, scripting, done. Like, however it is that you want to program against this array, you can pretty much do it. It is a completely open landscape for you to be able to develop against and plug in with these existing modernized automation and orchestration tools. But not only that, this thing is smart on the inside. Right? We're just delivering machine learning capabilities and machine learning technologies inside of the appliances and inside of the clusters. For example, on this bottom right quadrant, you're seeing the machine learning with these 4 different appliances listed inside of there. At the point a storage admin or someone creates a volume, we have the ability to do automated data placement within the cluster. So you don't have to make decisions on, well, where do I want that volume to go, or what does that volume need to live? Based on what's going on in the cluster, we can make that decision for you, and we can do autonomous data placement of that data. We can also do things like autonomously grow the cluster. So we can start with a single appliance, and when you go to add a second appliance to the cluster, as soon as he has power applied and he's plugged into the network, we can do an auto discovery of that guy. Say, hey, I see a new power store on the network. You want me to add that to your cluster? Yes. Boom, boom, boom. He auto IPs, auto configures, brings the appliance online. He's up, rock and rolling, and ready for you to start parking data on within a matter of minutes. So there is a lot of intelligence built inside of the array in and of itself. I mentioned that ability to leverage storage class memory along with NVMe-enabled flash modules, NVMe SSDs. But we have the capability in PowerStore to be able to intermix those devices. In fact, PowerStore's architecture allows for NVMe SSDs, SAS-based SSDs, storage class memory modules, things like Intel Optane today, but even different capabilities in the future, phase change, carbon nano, whatever it is that we want to look at and ingest. PowerStore is ready out of the gate to be able to ingest that. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, we built an architecture that is highly dynamic and highly intelligent. And we can do all of the analytics on that in a cloud-based offering for you at no additional cost, right? So our proactive health analytics via what we call Cloud IQ is available to all of our primary storage customers, including now with PowerStore. And that comes with your support contract. So this is not an additional piece of software that you have to purchase or license. This comes as part of the package. And you get to log into that web-based portal. You don't have to worry about maintaining it, managing it. It just comes with it. And all of the analytics from your systems are phoning home into that environment so that you can see trends, you can get alerting notifications, you can generate executive level reports, all from inside of that Cloud IQ infrastructure, giving you a full view landscape of everything in your architecture from a Dell EMC storage perspective. Now, to kind of bring this conversation home, because I know a lot of people want to talk golf and they're really excited to hear someone other than, the redneck storage guy talk about his passionate plea for PowerStore. But the reality is when we look at what we've done with this and the innovation we've put behind this, the adaptability. So it's not just data centric. It's not just intelligent and wicked smart. This thing is highly adaptable. In fact, we built this on a container-based operating system. So we're really the first in the market to deliver a fully containerized storage operating system, meaning that we can deliver new capabilities faster. We can do upgrades on the infrastructure in the least amount of intrusive nature possible. We don't have to worry about major disruptions in IO flow when all we're going to do is unload or reload a specific container on the back end. So there's a lot of dynamics that goes into that. Not only that, we have a very flexible deployment methodology. In fact, there's 2 different ways to deploy PowerStore. The first methodology is the traditional way, the way that you're accustomed to doing things and you always do things. You get all these cool new bells and whistles and you provision storage up to your fabric, from your fabric or your network out to your host, and you're done. That's what we call the PowerStore T methodology. But there's this new thing that's really, really ramping up and a lot of people are inquiring about, and that's what we call PowerStore X. It's the exact same sheet metal as PowerStore T. So it's the same form factor, same physical characteristics and capabilities because it's the exact same physical hardware. But in PowerStore X, we're actually deploying ESXi, VMware's hypervisor, directly on the storage array. And what that allows us to do is create this environment that we call apps on. And Apps On allows us to literally run. You as a customer can run your virtual machines directly on the storage array side by side with highly scalable independent storage. Not only that, it is still a storage array. So you can provision external storage from it as well. So in these edge-based locations or environments where you have an isolated type environment where you say, look, I need to run a subset of applications and I don't want to spin up a big compute farm over there to be able to do that. You can now run that natively on the storage array in and of itself. And that's PowerStore X leveraging the Apps On technology. So you can see it's very flexible in how you want to use it and how you want to deploy it. And what we'll kind of close out here with is the Anytime Upgrade Program. The Anytime Upgrade Program is something that, and I was excited to hear our executive staff, Michael and Jeff Clark, talking about this. We were sitting in a room in Hopkinton now it's actually been a little while ago now, probably over a year ago. We were having conversations around this Anytime Upgrade Program and formulating, giving our customers a methodology to be able to keep their hardware, keep their storage infrastructure fresh over time without having to go back to the well or make CapEx purchases or recut a check. And so when we began to look at this, Michael and Jeff said, we don't want to be on par with any of our competitors here. We want to bring something to market that no one else can do. And that was really encouraging. And I feel like we've absolutely delivered on that. And when we look at what we've been able to do with Anytime Upgrades, there's really kind of three factors that we look at. Number one is in what we call the Anytime Upgrade standard option. That's basically if you have a PowerStore 1000 series and we come out with the new controllers, the 1500 comes out, you're entitled to them, you get it, no extra cost, you do the non-disruptive upgrade, you keep on trucking, right? But it goes beyond that, right? So in what we call Anytime Upgrade Select, that allows customers to not just go, the upgrade within the same family, but you can go full-blown upgrade. You can go from a 1000 series to a 3000 series at no additional cost, or a 5 to a 7 at no additional cost. So basically you get to go up a model without having to cut a check or worrying about any kind of incremental cost there. And then the third option is because we can scale out, because we can add more appliances to the cluster. We owe you a set of controllers anyway. So we just give you the appliance with the controllers, and then you only cut a check for the additional capacity that you need in that new environment. So from there, that's a look at the Anytime Upgrade Program, allowing you to keep that infrastructure fresh as you kind of roll through and move things over time. So I see Trevor is saying his audio isn't working. Just saw that in the chat, Sarah, so that y'all are aware. So it looks like he's on, but working to get his audio in play.
Yeah, I saw that as well. Maybe Trevor, if you can hear us, maybe quit and then rejoin. Maybe it'll reset the audio. I'm not sure. Hopefully. And
so, Todd, that's a look, man, at PowerStore in a nutshell. We could spend a lot of time diving into all the goodness and the cool bits of what's going on here under the covers. But, the reality is that this is, a game-changing data-centric architecture that allows you to do things, really, whatever it is that you could possibly want to do with a storage platform, you can do. You've got all of that intelligence built in, whether it's external programmability or the internal machine learning and logic and all of the data points that's being aggregated, internalized. And then you get these extremely flexible deployment methodologies. If you want to do standard deployment, standard storage capabilities, done. If you want to leverage next generation VMware integration literally running on your storage array, done. If you want to go down the road and have this ability to do non-disruptive upgrades without ever cutting a check again, done, right? So all of those things are really the core principles that brings PowerStore to market and makes it what it is.
Nice job, Jody. Thank you, buddy. Anybody have questions for Jody? I'm not sure. I see Trevor maybe struggling with his audio, but Jody, anybody have a moment here? We can ask Jody a few questions if you haven't. Happy to.
You can definitely bring the PowerStore questions. If not, since I know Trevor's going to talk about success and being able to succeed, I'll share another quick story with you while we're waiting on Trevor. My daughter's 20. She's 20 years old. She'll be 21 this next year. She was born June 28, 2000. We found out just a few days later, July 4th, that she has Down syndrome. And really couldn't tell when she was born. And so my wife and I really, gathered up and gathered the family, and we're trying to figure out life and what was going on. And, you know, here we are 20 years later. And I remember sitting in a garage that day we found out, thinking that, you know, my daughter wasn't going to be able to accomplish a lot of things in life. Here she is, 20 years old. Her senior year in high school, she was prom queen. If that wasn't enough, you know, she was homecoming queen. She was a cheerleader on the varsity basketball squad. She got selected to represent Alabama as one of the queens at the Memphis Liberty Bowl for college football. And now she's a student in a program at the University of Alabama. So, you know, when you look at success, never go in thinking that you can't succeed, because you don't know what the next level holds for you. You put the work in, you can accomplish whatever your dreams are, for sure.
Yeah, God bless that. Great story there, Jody. Great story. God bless her. That's fantastic. How proud of you, huh?
Oh, no, man, yeah. Like, I've eaten so much crow, man. Like, you know, man, it's just like one thing after another. And my wife kept coming in and said, hey, we got to buy another dress. We got to buy a dress for this. You got to have 3 dresses for this event. And I'm like, man, shell it out.
I'll buy 50 dresses. I'll buy 50. Yeah. That's great. That's great.
Jody, who's your favorite current NFL pro Alabama alum?
Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Oh, very nice.
He had a big night the other night with the Steelers. Interception, so a couple of really good tackles. He's a safety, defensive back and safety. My son, who's now in his first year of college, is actually at Faulkner University on a football scholarship, and so he's playing college football. And I've got a freshman in high school who's a freshman, and he's starting on special teams on the varsity team. And if COVID doesn't absolutely kill us this tomorrow night, we're in the semifinal to go to the state championship game for the 7th year in a row. So,
Good luck, man.
That's great.
So it's funny, and obviously we're killing some time here. A good friend of mine, actually a good customer of mine too, he's from Louisiana, and over the years I got the chance to experience what the folks down in those areas think about football, and we got to go to an LSU game, and it's, you know, try to compare that to a New England Patriots game. There's no comparison.
Yeah.
You know, I love Patriots games, but there's nothing like it. Let's be honest, you know.
The only pro game I've ever been to was a Patriots game. When I'm up there, I always stay at Patriot Place. I stay in the Renaissance right there at the stadium when I'm up there for work in Hopkinton or Franklin. So that's where I always stay. And my first pro game was originally with EMC, but we got to go into a suite with a customer. And I remember looking around, and it is, you know, NFL football, so it's kind of the pinnacle of things, you know. So you're kind of there watching, you know, and I'm watching Dante Hightower from Alabama and some other guys that are on the team, like, you know, out there, and I was all keyed up. But looking around at the audience, I was kind of like, okay, this is it, because you know, you go to a Bama game and you're going to have 110,000 people jammed into the stadium, right? So
Yeah. Never mind the people around the stadium. Just whether they go in or not. You know, there's going to be 150,000 altogether, right?
Yeah, that's exactly
I think the Pat Stadium holds 65, maybe, right? Half of it.
Yeah, so I know Alabama holds 100. It's right at 104, and then you can have standing room where you can have above that. You can probably get into the 107, 108 range, and then you get outside on the quad and where everybody's gathered up with, you know, tents and tailgating and watching TVs. Yeah, you're easily, you know, at the 150, 160,000 people mark.
Yeah, BC is going to play Notre Dame. There's going to be 0 people in the stands.
Okay, so just a quick update. I just got off the phone with Trevor. He was trying to get logged on. He was trying to join from his iPad. He said it's worked plenty of times. It's not working this time. So he is going to be dialing in, and then we're going to try to get his video to work. So wanted to pass along that update.
Whatever works. This is what we do. We pretend there's going to be a celebrity, get you to the event, and then we just
Sarah, did he try to open the Zoom app first and then manually join with the number? Or did he just click the link that he got in a text message? Because that opens the web page, I think.
Right, I agree. Yeah.
He might have more success if he downloaded the Zoom app, which he might have already, because that link doesn't open that app.
Yeah, and then just join, and then just click join and put in
we'll put the numbers in. Yeah, we can give him the numbers.
This guy can win the Masters. He can't figure out a Zoom app. I mean, do we really want to listen to him on success? Is this what we're looking for?
Do you work for Tata or something?
Timmy's on. Meet Trevor.
Hey, where's that filter?
That was me.
Oh, I thought this was the poker game. Am I early?
Wrong room.
Jody, why don't you go through your presentation again? We'd like to hear it again.
Yeah.
Hey, Jody, have you heard the former Alabama backup quarterback do the Nick Saban impersonation?
Yeah.
It's so good, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's that kid's name?
He's I follow him on Twitter. I'd have to look him up, man. Crap, what's his name?
Yeah. It's funny.
Yeah,
it's so funny to me that
Robbie Zell. Robbie Zell. That's his name. Yeah. He's spot on, man, when he does Saban.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, interestingly enough, talk about that anytime upgrade program that I was mentioning. It's kind of interesting. Let me show you real quick while we're just killing time. I want to show you what one of our customers did, just to show you how creative you can get with this technology. So they basically had, we'll say this is their primary site. And then they had their DR location. And this customer bought a 3000 series in Pride.
We got him. Just got to unmute him.
Got him. All right, he's there.
You got to unmute him.
You got him?
Yes.
I think we got you.
Yeah, or he can unmute himself.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have the mute button on his thing, though.
Hello?
Trevor, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys.
All right.
There he is.
Victory. Victory.
Oh, man.
Over to Trevor.
You guys. Jeez.
So what was the fix? What was the...
Well, listen, I'm a little bit technologically challenged. And, we're all trying to figure out how to do these Zooms and stuff with all the, the way the world has changed. And normally I just hit the link and I'm all set. But for some reason it didn't work. So I had to go through a few extra hoops. But now I'm glad to be with you guys.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Trevor. Appreciate it greatly. It's so very nice to meet you. We've all been looking forward to it. So I'm glad you finally got on.
Yeah, thank you.
So just for the sake of time, I know everybody's been on for a little bit. We just did a presentation. We could go through it again to you later on, logically. But yeah, I think a lot of us are pretty pumped to have a conversation with you. I'll go through my intro and then I got a few questions for you, honestly, Trevor. Huge golf fan here as well, but I want to allow the customers and some of the other folks we have on the line to take a moment and understand your background and ask any questions that they may have for you, if you don't mind.
Absolutely perfect.
All right. So I'd like to introduce our special guest we have tonight from the PGA Tour and the world of sports and entertainment, Mr. Trevor Immelman. As many of you know, I'm a huge golf fan. As I just mentioned, I had the fortune of attending the Masters tournament in Augusta, Georgia back in 2013. Went down with my dad and my brother and a couple of buddies and their dads, and it was just amazing experience. And I'd honestly recommend it to anybody. But to be able to have an opportunity, honestly, Trevor, to talk to somebody that actually won that tournament and actually have physically been there and seen what it probably took in order to get there and actually complete that task on a Sunday, it must be immense. But Trevor's a native of South Africa and currently resides in Winter Park, Florida. Right now in a hotel room in Augusta somewhere. After turning pro in 1999, he enjoyed time playing on the PGA Tour, the European Tour, Corn Ferry Tour, and the Sunshine Tour, where he achieved a total of 11 wins. That's very impressive. He earned spots on two President Cup international teams in 2005 and 2007. Had the opportunity to compete in all four of golf's major championship tournaments. One of obviously the major highlights in 2008, Trevor, was to win that green jacket. Can't wait to hear a little bit about that. Where he posted a score of 8 under, and I think who was trailing you by 3 was Mr. Tiger Woods. So that's got to be immense in its own. A couple of years, Trevor decided to move away from playing golf professionally and has now become a rising star in the world of golf broadcasting, and has worked a variety of roles for Golf Channel and CBS as an analyst on the PGA Tour events, including the Masters and the PGA Championship. Trevor, you've had a fantastic career thus far due to the sporting world of golf, and I really want to say thank you personally and for the team here, the group here, for taking the time to join us. We've all been looking forward to this. So I'll give you a minute to introduce yourself and say hello, and then we can kind of roll through some questions I have and kind of tee off of that, and we'll go from there. I know you just came off the course, so.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to join everybody and talk golf. It's what I love to do. It's been the thing that I've been absolutely obsessed with since I was 5 years old. And, like you touched on there, I've played on professional tours all over the world. And this is how I've been fortunate enough to make my living over the last 20 to 25 years. And, it's just always been my passion. And the way it started, funny enough, that we're here in Augusta, like you say, I'm in a hotel room in Augusta working for CBS this week. But the way it started for me, how my love for the game started was growing up in South Africa in 1986. I was a 6-year-old and was fortunate enough to be able to watch the 1986 Masters. And it was the first time that I ever learned anything about Augusta National and the Masters. And it'll go down, maybe with the 2019 Masters as probably the two most famous. And that was the one where Jack Nicklaus, at the age of 46 years old, everybody had counted him out. And he shot 65 in the final round and won his 6th green jacket. And I'm a little kid growing up in South Africa. And from that moment on, I was just hooked. I was hooked. I had to find a way to get to Augusta National. I wanted to be able to be on the grounds, compete in the tournament. And from that moment on, I pretty much dedicated my life to the game and to achieving that goal. And so it's been a lovely journey for me over the years. I've been fortunate enough to travel all over the world, playing a sport that I love. I'm not going to lie. There's lots of ups and downs. The game is brutally difficult, and it spares nobody, to be honest with you, if you play long enough. And so there's a lot of good stuff, but it's a tough way to make a living. You don't have any team compared to other sports. You don't have any Hall of Fame or all-star teammates to pass the ball to when you're struggling. You've just got to find a way to get it done on that day and move forward. And if you struggled, hopefully have a better day tomorrow. But I feel very, very fortunate to have been able to live in the United States for the last 20 years or so, and be able to play out here on the PGA Tour and make a living that way. So it's been a great ride. And like you said, now doing some broadcasting. This is my first Masters in the tower at 15. And so today I was pretty nervous at the start, and eventually started to get in some kind of rhythm, but I look forward to the next few days.
I think, that's awesome. But I think of the fact you just said you're on 15, you were nervous today. It's amazing that, you would think a guy of your stature in that sporting world, right? You still get nervous in those situations, right? That it still gives you the butterflies in the stomach when you get an opportunity to do something like that.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think the reason for that is, even though you know, I know a lot about golf because it's just what I've done for so long, you get nervous because you're out of your comfort zone, and that's the thing that can intimidate you in times, but it's also the thing that gets you excited and ready to go. Just, you know, being up there and having to figure out the nuances of it is something that I've really enjoyed over the last few years. And I hold Augusta National and the Masters in such high esteem. It's been so important for my life and for my career that, yeah, you know, I wanted to go out and do as well as I could and not make any silly mistakes. And so absolutely, I was on edge at the start.
Yeah, good for you. I look forward to hearing you the rest of the weekend. I'll ask you one more. I got a list. You and I could just chat for an hour and then go on. But I'll go off. I'll go one more and then I'll let somebody jump in. So the nerves, right? I'll use it as a good segue. Sunday, you go in. You don't know how it's going to end. Obviously, you're in the lead. I think all 3 days, right? You get to the point where you're coming around Amen corner. You know where you stand. You know, obviously you see who's behind you. You know, so out of your comfort zone, obviously you're a professional golfer at that point and doing your thing. I mean, does the nerves creep in at that point when you start looking at that leaderboard and you're coming around and you start to see what you really need to do in the next 6-7 holes in order to hold these guys off? Never mind Tiger Woods. What's that like?
Yeah, you're on edge. You're on edge for sure. Because you know, at least I did. I understood the magnitude of the moment. And what I mean by that is, if you think back to those times, you know, between the late 90s and 2010 or so, that was right in Tiger Woods' prime. And there just weren't that many people that were winning tournaments or winning majors in that period of time. And so I was well aware going into that Sunday that it could quite possibly be my best chance at winning a major. And so, you know, as you're coming down around Amen corner and it's almost there, you can feel it, you can touch it, you're right there. You've just got to get through that last hurdle. You know, that adds to the intensity of it. But you know, one thing that I would always do in those moments throughout my career was take a step back and, you know, just say to myself, look, this is what you've always wanted. This is what you dreamed about since you were a kid. This is what's made you practice until dark and get up before the sun comes up and practice all day and go to the gym and do all the extra stuff that nobody knows about. It's for this moment. So sure, you're nervous, sure, you're a little edgy about it, but this is it. This is what all the work has been for. And I always felt like as soon as I said that to myself, it would, you know, take some pressure off of me, take the load off my shoulders a little bit, and then I would just keep going from there. So you know, that's what I did, and I managed to keep it together. And when I hit my second shot on the green at 18, and I knew I was in the lead, I didn't know by how many. And I said to my caddy, you know, how are we doing? How does it look? And he was like, oh, you got a 3-shot lead. It's all over. And that was a very interesting moment because really it was like for the first time the whole week, I was able to, you know, come out of my bubble and really, you know, start to, you know, when I was in the hunt in tournaments, this is going to sound so weird, I would look at stuff but not see it. And what I mean by that is I would look into the crowd and I wouldn't necessarily recognize anybody, or it would just always be a blur. And maybe that's what being in the zone is. Who knows? We can debate. That's a whole nother debate. But that was the first time on 18 that I was able to look up and actually really start to key in on the different elements of what was taking place in that moment. I could see my wife and son behind the green, and I could see familiar faces in the crowd with patrons that I'd gotten to know over the years and members of the club. And, you know, the whole, if we rewind back to the story I told about 1986 and Jack Nicklaus, all of that came flooding back to me because since that time in '86, every year I'd watch these guys make this walk up at 18. And all of a sudden I was the one doing it. And it was so mega surreal. And so, yeah, that was a very interesting 10 minutes of my life right there.
I feel the same way when I walk up 18 in my home club. It's very similar. Very similar. One last question. I'll let somebody jump in. When you leave the Masters and you become the champion, and you go to your following tournaments, right? Obviously, you're carrying this now with you, and it's so fresh. Has it changed the reception that you get from your fellow players? Does it change how you go into those that next tournament or two? Is there a hangover to it? What is that? Do you remember what that was like?
Yeah, there's no doubt that you get seen differently by people in a professional standpoint. And I'll never forget the next start that I made was actually at the Byron Nelson in Dallas. And when I pitched up for the Wednesday morning Pro-Am, and I just saw people lined up with all these yellow Masters flags for me to sign them. And, there I was teeing off at like 7 a.m. and there were just hundreds of flags that people wanted me to sign. At that point, I knew things had changed. Or, 2 weeks prior to that, I arrived at the Pro-Am and, there was nobody there. So there's no doubt about it that it changed my life, all in great ways, to be honest. It's something that I'm extremely humbled by and thankful for. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, God bless. That's great. Sorry, you want to maybe ask another question? Or Tim, you want to jump in? And anybody?
Sure. Hey, Trevor, this is Tim Dwyer. I'm the CEO here at CE Tech. And welcome and thanks for joining us. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but John McCormick over at Dell, one of our partners, said because you were a few minutes late, that you and I would be playing Augusta on Monday morning after the match.
Okay.
Maybe Gary Player, right?
we gotta rope Gary in too, do we?
He's awesome, huh?
Just as long as security doesn't see you.
No,
that happened.
I've been fortunate enough to play Pine Valley one time, and I've been down to Augusta 4 times for the tournaments. It's just a special experience. So congratulations on your win. I just had one quick thing. What's it like being in the Champions Dinner? I saw Tiger's menu this year. I mean, that's a pretty special club. How many were in there this year, and what's that experience like?
Well, it's amazing. It's kind of hard to even put words to, especially for a little kid that grew up in the corner of Africa and like I said, got to know the Masters by watching it at midnight because of the time change when I was a little kid, and having to beg my parents to stay up at night so I could watch it, and so it's extremely special. This year there were 28 of us, which includes the chairman, so 27 champions. A few guys did not make it due to the pandemic and the travel and all those kinds of things, some of the older guys. And so that was a shame, but fully understandable in these times that we're dealing with. But it was still an unbelievably amazing evening. Tiger did an incredible job he did the chicken and steak fajitas in honor of his father.
Oh,
he
nice.
did sushi in honor of his mother. And I got to be honest with you. In his speech, he was about as emotional as I've ever seen him, and I've known him for going on 20 years now. You could see that at this point in his life and his career, how much that win had meant to him. How you could clearly understand from what he said that there were times when he didn't know through the injuries if he would ever be able to play again. And he was so appreciative of that moment and appreciative of the support that people have given him through the tough times. And so it was, you could cut the atmosphere with a knife at that point while he was talking. You could just feel how
Wow.
Important that moment was to him, and how touched he was by the support he had received. And yeah, as usual, it was an amazing evening. Gary Player, who's a mentor of mine, got up and spoke. And yeah, from a golfing standpoint, that was my 11th Champions Dinner, and it's without a doubt the best golfing night of the year. Just to be in the presence of guys that I've looked up to my whole career and admired, and tried to emulate in many ways. And so without a doubt, at some point during the evening, I take a step back and think, how the heck did I get into this room? But it's an amazing evening.
That's so great. And just my add-on question to that is, you're so fit, and I know, of course, Gary Player, of course, right? And I was at the Masters last year, and I actually saw you in person. And when did you make the decision to not only play competitive golf, or are you going to play a little bit? Or I know you battled some injuries later on in your career, but will you continue to play the Masters at some point, just even though you're not playing competitive golf? Or how did you arrive at that decision, and was it mainly due to injuries?
Yeah, it's a great question. I have struggled with injuries throughout the latter part of my career. And in the last 3 or 4 years, I started doing more and more broadcasting.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoy it. And now, after today, I've actually done live golf at all 4 of the major championships and the Players. And so it's been a pretty exciting last few years from that standpoint. And I was going to play a little bit this year originally, but then, once the pandemic hit and the tour redid the schedule, and CBS had to do the first 11 weeks in a row, and I've just been so busy doing the TV that I really haven't been able to play much golf in 2020 at all.
Right.
And then about a month ago, they asked me to join the team here for the Masters. And then I had a decision to make, and it was a tough decision, because I'm sure you guys can already feel how important the Masters is to me. But I felt like, I'm not the kind of person that just wants to roll up and play for the sake of playing. I would want to have put the work in and done the right stuff in order to at least feel that I could be somewhat competitive, make the cut. I made the cut last year.
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel like I had done enough work over the last few months. And so, yeah, I jumped at the opportunity to be a part of the CBS team. And it's been an amazing week so far.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. That's great. Thank you.
Tony Romo jealous.
I don't know. He's doing pretty well.
If you could predict golf shots, that would help, right?
Yeah, it sure would. Golf is just a whole nother animal, isn't it?
Hey,
Trevor, do you think? Go ahead. Sorry, you want to throw one out there from one of the?
Yeah, sure. I was actually going to ask a personal question of my own, and then maybe I'll tee up some of the ones that came in during the registration process. So first of all, it's just awesome to meet you. I've been listening to some of the podcasts actually that you've been doing recently. And my question is, obviously you mentioned that you were getting up before sunrise, golfing into the dark, you play and practice a lot of golf, you hit the gym, but are there any mindfulness techniques that you use to just keep yourself level and even keeled as you're like on the course or kind of preparing for one of these big moments, especially too, I mean, when you're playing, you may have a good shot and you may have a bad shot, and I feel like it's so important in those moments to not get so attached to the highs and the lows and just kind of keep that even keel of confidence as you're going through the playing. Is there anything that you tell yourself in your mind, or any mindfulness techniques that you use to kind of help you out in those situations?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, I've tried a lot of different things. I've read a lot of books about it, tried a lot of different things. I do think that without a doubt, if you're going to play, if we're talking about playing golf, the more even keel you can be, the better. It's so easy to get frustrated and then not be thinking clearly when you get to your next shot. And I realized pretty early on that it's just not worth dwelling on it. It doesn't help in any way at all. And you sort of slowly but surely start to train that in. But one of the other things that I found, which was a little bit mind-blowing at the time, was how many times I would be like so-called thinking negatively, okay? Standing over a shot and be like, oh man, I don't feel good. I'm going to hit it in the water, or watch out for the water on the left or something like that. And then I would hit a good shot. And then the amount of times I was standing over a shot feeling really anxious and concerned, and or feel even on the flip side, feel very confident. And then I would hit a bad shot. And so I felt like, well, maybe you've just got to just let all this thought just pass through and not pay too much attention to it at all, and just roll with it. Roll with your training, trust your training. And it became more important to me to really experience what was going on. If I was feeling down, you know, why am I feeling down? Not beat myself up for feeling down. I think a lot of people, you know, I see them really trying hard to be positive all the time. And when they can't, or when they aren't, then they beat themselves up over it. And it just prolongs that sort of negative area. And, you know, so I really try to enjoy the moment no matter what. I mean, it could just be an awful experience in the moment, but I just want to be there with it. I just want to be there with it and feel it and understand it. And I just think when you do that enough, you're not scared of it anymore, because you know you made it through that particular moment, and then you just roll with it. So that's eventually, I think that just came with age and experience for me, playing a sport that is extremely difficult. You know, and to this day, like with my children, I have a 14-year-old son and a 10-year-old daughter who are just amazing. And, you know, even now when they make mistakes or when they do something silly, like I'm far more interested in, you know, what was the process that went behind you doing this than, because I find it so interesting to try and figure out how they did what they did. Because look, nobody wants to go out there and purposefully do something that's deemed incorrect. You know, at the time they're trying to do the best they can. And so I find stuff like that interesting. But, you know, from a breathwork standpoint, absolutely at times that would be something that I would be focusing on, you know, and just kind of trying to get back to that center. There's no doubt.
That's awesome. Thank you. I'll open it up. Does anyone have other questions? You guys want to jump in?
Yeah, this is Suzanne. I was just curious, do you guys interact with the women's golf as well, the LPGA Tour? Is there any interaction with the women, and do your kids play golf as well?
Yeah, hi Suzanne. I do a little bit of work with the LPGA Tour, not too much. I've gotten to meet many of the women professionals over the years. Actually had a chat earlier this week with Michelle Wee, who we all know. She's here doing some digital work for CBS. And, you know, I think it's fantastic what they do and the way they use their talent. And it is interesting to me how, you know, they have such a great following because they're so good with the fans, the ladies out on the LPGA Tour. They have such a strong following in amongst corporate America and the people that come and support them in these pro-ams. And I find that really refreshing and important. And I know that there's been a lot of women over the years that really have worked very hard to try and elevate the LPGA Tour as much as they can. Something I'm excited about on a personal level is the new commissioner of the PGA Tour, Jay Monahan. He really is working very, very closely with the LPGA Tour, trying to make sure that the PGA and all their resources and power can try and help as much as they can. And then you take a look at Augusta National, and last year, the start of the women's amateur tournament that gets played the Sunday before, and what a great success that was last year.
Yeah.
So I think we're in a great situation right now where the game as a whole is really starting to grow. Even yesterday, Fred Ridley, who's the chairman of Augusta National, announcing a 10 million grant to the local university here to build, start, and develop a women's university team here. So there's a lot of resources being pumped in that I'm really excited about. Second part of your question, my son, who's 14, loves the game of golf, is so into it, and that's a lot of fun for me. My daughter, on the other hand, it's way too slow for her.
Yeah,
way too slow.
It takes a certain personality for it, right?
Yeah, she needs more action, and she just wants more happening, and that's fun too. So
but I asked about the LPGA Pro-Am because I played in it a couple of times with Brittany Lang and Jennifer Kupcho.
Well, Jennifer Kupcho is the lady who won here at Augusta.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
It was a great experience. So I just, it's just nice to see, both the women and the men, the sport growing more and more. So it's a pleasure to meet you, and appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
We had a question.
How about Scott Deslitz? Scott Deslitz has the question. Scott, throw one out there.
I was going to say something about how do you beat sandbaggers like yourself, Todd. But
It's impossible, Scott. It's impossible.
How do you beat a guy who puts in a score as an 80 when it's really a 73? How do you beat that guy, Trevor?
Yeah, I know.
That
is
Sarah,
tough.
Can you mute him?
All right, I guess that's not a good question. I won't ask that. How about this? Since your win, is there a change at Augusta, whether it be with the course or the club itself? I'm guessing one of the things you just mentioned with the women's tournament and some of the other things. Name a thing that you've liked that they've changed, and name one that you haven't liked. And I won't tell anybody. I know you'll get in trouble if you say there's something you don't like about Augusta. I know you can't say that.
Well, the golf course itself has not changed very much at all since I won. That may change because, as anybody who follows golf realizes that, what Bryson DeChambeau and some of these other guys have been doing over the summer, just really hitting the ball a long way. The game is at a tipping point right now where the governing body is going to have to figure out if they're going to do anything about it. And so I'm sure Augusta National is going through that process as well. The things that have changed at Augusta National is just the infrastructure. They've acquired more land, more property around the club, and really started to develop the surrounding areas to the benefit of the club, but also the local community. And it's amazing. Every time we come back, there's something new and extremely impressive. This year we got back here and there was another tunnel underground that will be used shortly for the TV production trucks to be able to travel underneath Washington Avenue as not to disturb the traffic flow. And so stuff like that, a few years ago when they unveiled the new media center or the new tournament practice area, those are the kinds of things that they have added to the most over the last 10 or 12 years that I've been coming back. It's coming to Augusta National is an experience that is it never lets you down. So many times in life you really look forward to something and you build it up, and then when it happens, sometimes you're like, it wasn't quite as good as I imagined because you've just really let your thoughts go wild. But coming to Augusta National is never like that. It's better than you can imagine.
Awesome.
Thank you. And is T-Bone still open? They're doing okay, are they? They're doing all right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Look, this week it's going to be a lot different with no patrons and nobody out there, so it won't be as busy. But yeah, they're still around and doing well.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Todd Hendrickson had a question. He typed in the chat, if you could play one last round with any 3 people, who are they and what course would you play at?
Oh, I would play here because it's, you know, I obviously love the golf course and hold it in such high esteem for many reasons. Bobby Jones was one of my heroes, and, you know, his fingerprint on this place is undeniable. I'd have to throw my son in there. There's no doubt about it. He's a good little golfer, and it, you know, having the ability to play with him here is very, very special. So I'd throw him in there, but then I've got to go with maybe I'd have to go with like Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus. How does that sound? Do you think that'd be any good?
Definitely.
Wouldn't be bad. So I don't want to hold you too long. Maybe a couple more here, guys. If we have a couple of throw out.
Sure.
Crystal?
It's Suzanne again. I'll throw out a question.
I've got one. Oh, wait.
I'll be quick. Any stretching routine that you have prior to playing golf?
Yeah, I do. What I like to do, Suzanne, is I like to do dynamic stretching. What I mean by that is it's a bit more movement orientated. I don't like to do static stretching where you would just, you know, like rip your leg up and hold it in a position. I would much rather be moving through different areas and creating better and better range of motion. I just think that's a much better way to go about it than to just do some type of static stretch. I just don't think you can get too much out of that. So I'm trying to create as much movement as I can in a warm-up. And so there are many different things you can do using bands and medicine balls and stuff like that, just to get the blood flowing and create some movement to get those muscles fired up.
Good advice. Thank you.
I had a question around the course. Is it playing a little bit different in November versus would be in April?
Yeah, you know, I've been a bit surprised. Initially, when they announced that the Masters were going to be in November, I thought, wow, that could be really, really difficult. Because, you know, I've been here in the fall where it's like 50-degree day and wind blowing 20 miles an hour, and that golf course is very, very, very difficult. So initially, when it was announced, that's what I was anticipating. But then we got here and it's 80 degrees. We've had a lot of rain, and it's actually been so warm over the last 2 weeks that the overseed, the ryegrass, hasn't really come in. So there's a little bit of a mixture of Bermuda and rye, which you'll never see in April. In April, you come here and it's just very, very dense ryegrass. And so the golf course is playing a little bit different. And then we've had so much rain over the last few nights and days. I mean, we were delayed for 3 hours today. That it's a bit soft. The greens were too soft today.
Yeah, they were sticking them pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really see a ball bounce, did we?
Yeah, no.
And we just sit there, and you know, I'm looking at the scores here now. That's why you look at these scores. You got 7 under KC leading. And if we go down to, let's see how many people broke par. So you've got 50 out of the 92. So more than half the field broke par today. And, you know, I'm sure they'll have those sub-airs. It's a for anybody that doesn't know, it's a machine. It's like a vacuum cleaner under the ground. And they have them throughout the whole golf course. And so they turn these things on and it just sucks the moisture down and expels it. And so I'm sure they'll have those things cranking and should be firm come the weekend. We don't have, weather forecast is actually cleared up and looks pretty decent from here on out.
Hey, Trevor, so who do you like this week? And did you see anything out there either today or in the previous couple of days to reinforce that or to maybe change your mind?
I think it was a hard one to pick because there's so many players that are coming in good solid form. DJ really has played amazing golf over the summer, so has John Rahm. You know, I really want Rory McIlroy to win the Masters at some point because you know, winning the Grand Slam is so rare and such an incredible achievement. He'd only be the sixth person in history. And, you know, Augusta National's kind of had his number up until this point. And so I was wondering if the move to November would somehow throw that off of its axis and he would be able to get that win. But I believe he's even after 9, so he's not off to the fastest start. The thing that surprised me the most today, quite honestly, and I say this with the utmost respect, is Tiger Woods. You know, for him to go out there and shoot a bogey-free 4 under, I wasn't quite expecting that. He just has played so little. He looked a little stiff and in pain last time I saw him. But, you know, take my hat off to that guy. He goes out there, shoots 4 under. He's going to get to sleep in tomorrow morning. And that'll give him a little bit. He doesn't sleep much, but that'll give him some bit more time to recover and be ready for the later tee time. And the world is better when Tiger Woods is in with a chance to win.
Yeah, certainly is.
Thank you.
Yep.
Maybe one more. Anybody else going out there? Tip, you got something for him?
You're doing a great job, buddy. I mean, the only thing was I was wondering maybe a putting tip for you or two. You know, like, will we look at the hole, or should we just change clubs? Should we just stand on the other side of the ball? Are we at that point yet? Or
never mind.
Well,
never
I mean,
mind.
it's kind of it's hard. It's hard for me to give anybody a tip without seeing, but I don't mind looking at the hole. But here's the thing that I see the most when I've played pro-ams for 20 plus years is whenever I play pro-ams, it feels like there's 2 things I see. The amateur golfers aren't paying enough attention to the speed of the putt. And secondly, they never play enough break. So on big breaking putts, when I watch amateur golfers for the most part, when the ball is halfway to the hole, it's already on the low side. And so, like, it's no point even rooting for it anymore. I mean, it's already low. It's getting further and further and further and further away from the hole. Whereas if you take more break, now as it starts to lose speed, every single moment it's moving closer and closer to the hole. And, you know, you may get lucky, you may fall in the top edge. But you know, like I said earlier with the speed, it's the most important thing in putting. If you can try and dial in a speed that gets you within the front edge of the cup and 2 feet behind the cup, if you can consistently leave your ball in that zone, the law of averages say, you know, on a number of those, the edge is going to grab it and it's going to fall in. So focus on speed as much as you can.
Tip, I hope that helps you. God knows you could use a little help on the putting side. So.
The next time I figure, you know, we mentioned pro-am. We've got a pro-am story for him, but that's another time though, right? We're 15 under in that event, Todd.
Well, I see the clubs in the background there, so you clearly are a keen golfer.
Those are just sitting there. Yeah. No, I said Matt Whalen's chiming in. I used to be. You're right, Matty.
That's right. He used to be the club champ, but he's got to get back to that form. He's got to stop drinking.
I've been having too much wine.
Hey, I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
We wind it out. We'll end it with a question from you, Mr. Whalen. Why don't you throw the final question? You got one?
You know what? My question's more for you, Todd. When are you going to give me more strokes?
Oh, for God's sake.
Sounds like a theme here.
Trevor, if you need a fourth in that glorious group of four that you were thinking about, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay,
Pick
there you
anybody. Pick anybody else, Trevor. Pick anybody else.
Well, I guess I'll tell you, Trevor. I will say this. I think the game of golf is, the gentleman that I've met, a true gentleman, and I think this sport, exudes a lot of that, and I mean that. So meeting you, you've been a true gentleman to us. I appreciate the time you spent with us. I'm sure you had a long day, had trouble getting on, but you couldn't have been more gracious. And I wish you a lot of luck in your broadcasting career. If you end up playing the Masters one day again, I look forward to watching you play.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you guys inviting me to come on. It's one of the things that I've always enjoyed about being a professional golfer is the way the game has allowed me to meet people all over the world in different walks of life. And so even though we're not, able to be in person, I guess, as of right now, this is second best. And so thankful to have spent this time with everybody and had a good laugh.
Yeah, same here.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate you joining.
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great week.
Bye, guys. Bye-bye.